Filming.
I don't care if you're doing filming. I've asked you not to film this building.
Yeah, but it was a little building.
I don't care.
It was a little...
Okay, they're on their way to see you now, right?
What about my drone?
I don't care about your drone.
Yeah, but I've come
no permission to film this building.
I've come a long way on my bike.
I don't care.
I go round, I take like videos and drone footage, and then I put them on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, but you've had no permission to come onto this site, and you were filming on this site without permission.
No, I only come on the site to knock on the door, but I think you came out, didn't you?
But you've been videoing on this site without permission.
No,
right?
I came through.
I watched you.
No, but I came through.
I watched you.
But there was no barrier down. If there was a barrier down, I wouldn't have come in.
A barrier tells you it's a secure private premises, yeah?
No, it wasn't. It's not.
Opening scene. A confrontation, but not the kind you'd expect. An independent auditor shows up with a camera, not to provoke, but simply to approach a facility's front door. There were no signs, chains, or barriers, just an open path with no private property notice in sight. Under UK law, trespass only occurs when someone knowingly enters private land without permission. And even then, unless there's damage or aggression, it's a civil matter, not criminal. In this case, there was no force, no confrontation, and no one stopping him, just an unguarded entrance. Yet, instead of owning their security lapse, management pins the blame on the auditor. They shift focus from their failure to secure the site to his presence with a camera. But the real question isn't why access was so easy in the first place.
I'm not getting into it because the police, they just said they see you through the window and they're coming over to see you.
Yeah, but I'm only doing a little video.
I'm not interested, mate.
What's your name, sorry?
I didn't give my name.
What's your name?
I don't need to give you my name, do I?
Well, at the moment, we've been called. I don't know if you know anything about Concordia, but having had a chat to the manager here, it's quite a secure building, all right?
Yeah.
You're not allowed on there. That's come from him.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's politely asked you to move on and obviously stop recording because of the nature of the supplies and the goods within the site.
Scene shifts. Blue lights flash as officers arrive, but due process quickly fades. Instead of checking for any actual offense, the officer seems more like company security than a public servant. He listens to staff complaints and immediately tells the auditor to stop filming. No questions, no legal checks, just a command based on someone else's discomfort. This moment highlights a major policing failure. The officer doesn't investigate, he just enforces a business's preference as if it were law, but it's not. His job is to uphold rights, not protect corporate feelings. Filming in public isn't illegal, unless there's a posted restriction or specific regulation. Private companies can't dictate what's filmed from public land. That right matters, and here, it was dismissed without a second thought.
Okay.
I know what the company is because I got it off the internet.
There we go. So, in this situation, the best thing we can do is just ask you to move on, all right? Not record, obviously, from here. They're asking you not to do it, right? At the moment, he's saying that in the building and the business itself, they do obviously supply quite high secure goods across the world on flights. And at the moment, it's just not appropriate. And obviously, that's where we are with it. Okay. Now, in terms of what we're going to do as police, is we're going to do the same. We're just going to ask you to politely move on, just to obviously prevent any breach of the peace, just to move on, go on your push bike and go and film a different place that is going to allow you to do.
What happens next is troubling. The auditor is well within his rights to film handheld or by drone. No law is being broken. Yet the officer, without citing a single statute, orders him to leave. This isn't about safety or legality, it's about appeasing the business, instead of fairly assessing the situation. The officer treats the auditor's lawful presence as a problem to be removed. It's a clear overreach. A citizen exercising their rights is forced to back down, not for breaking the law, but because a company was uncomfortable. That's not justice, it's convenience at the cost of public.
Okay, and then it's just going to be end of sport. We will leave you to it. Okay, ultimately what we could potentially be facing is that if you're going to refuse to do that and allow for this business to move on with their day, we could be looking at other things then, couldn't we? Because what's happening here is this company now have had to send out managers and staff to obviously come and deal with yourself, and they're just kindly asking you, can you please stop filming?
But I'm doing photography in a public place. I'm allowed.
What they're saying is,
I'm allowed.
You by all means,
I'm allowed.
Go the other side of the road. Obviously.
That's what I said I was going to do. I said I'm going to be over there. Over there on that footpath.
You've asked to use their toilet. You're not allowed to do that.
No, I'm not going to.
You've asked to go in and have a tour. You're not allowed to do it. Okay. There are rules in life that you have to follow.
No, right? I said to him.
For you to ask where the toilet is, if I can use the toilet, can I come in and have a tour?
Then comes a move that shifts the situation from questionable to unreasonable. The officer, without citing any law, orders the auditor who's calmly standing on public pavement to cross the street. There's no obstruction, no threat, and no legal grounds for the demand. Worse, she delivers it not as a request but a lecture speaking down to him and referencing vague rules without naming a single statute. It's pressure, not policing. By now, her role as a neutral enforcer is gone. She's acting less like a public servant and more like a buffer for the business, issuing baseless orders to someone who hasn't broken a single rule. It's a clear misuse of authority and a failure in fair policing.
All right.
No, I know you said no. That's no problem.
We're not going to get into it.
I'm not going to. And stuff. I just asked him. I said, look, any chance I can use your toilet? He said, you must be joking. I said, fine.
Yeah.
I said, as I'm here, you know, would you like to give me a guided tour? I've got high vis. He said, no.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Right.
But I just want to go on the public footpath and do my video and a little bit of drone footage.
He's not going to. He's not going to allow for the drone footage.
He doesn't own the airspace, officer.
But the problem is that as the manager, he's being quite respectful and polite to you, isn't he?
And
he's just saying, please sir, can you not do this, all right? Obviously, he knows a lot more than me and you about this company, all right? And he's saying that in the building itself, it's obviously quite a high secure place where they provide goods and materials to put on flights to travel, right?
I'm allowed to photograph in a public area.
I'm not saying you're not allowed to photograph.
I'm allowed.
Go over there then,
That's
all right?
what I said I'll do.
Make yourself sparse, obviously, take photos and stuff, but please don't go putting a drone up. We've got our headquarters there. That's our police headquarters. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
Right, that's our police headquarters there for Gwent Police.
But I'm not doing Gwent Police, I'm doing...
But obviously, as you can see, there's only a matter of metres between these buildings, okay? So Concordia, they're obviously quite a high secure building. We've got our premises there as Gwent Police.
But I'm allowed to do my drone footage. I'm allowed to do my drone footage.
Then, the officer adds yet another obstacle this time. Invoking the police headquarters next door, she argues that because the station is nearby, launching the drone is somehow prohibited. But here's the catch. Simply being close to a police facility doesn't automatically turn the surrounding airspace into a restricted zone. If there were a legitimate no-fly rule in place, she would be able to quote the regulation clearly and directly, not just ask him to stop and hope he agrees. Instead of referencing any aviation code or flight restriction, her tone shifts into something far less official, more of a personal plea than a lawful command. It's the kind of vague enforcement that sounds authoritative but lacks any legal weight. What we're seeing here is a textbook example of overreach, inventing invisible boundaries to shut down an activity that is, by all measures, lawful. The auditor remains composed. He doesn't argue or raise his voice, he simply states the facts. He reminds her once again that his actions are entirely within the law. Her objections, however forceful they may sound, aren't backed by any enforceable rule. And without that legal grounding, her instructions are just opinions once he isn't required to obey.
They have like red zones and
I'm not a drone officer, but I can certainly check with a drone officer if that's where we're going to get to. However, I feel that that's a little bit unnecessary for now. All right, and I think that what the best option here is just for you to obviously move on as you've been asked by a couple of people now. All right, just move on, get on with your day. And
this is my day. I'm allowed. I'm not being...
Like I said, just go across the way then, and obviously
I was going to go across
the way there. There's many other buildings on industrial estates that you can use. And you can photograph.
I will do them, but I was here, and what you're telling me is that because he don't like it,
it's not a case of him not liking it. He's the manager, isn't he? And what he's saying is that because of the nature of the materials and the goods that are inside of this building,
but it's not unlawful to do photography from a public place.
It's again with that company. The company are asking you.
The officer tries yet another angle, this time claiming that what's inside the building is too sensitive to be filmed. But the reality is simple. The auditor never stepped off public ground. He filmed from open space, legally, peacefully, and without obstruction. In public areas, there's no automatic right to privacy. If an organization wants to keep certain materials or operations out of sight, the responsibility lies with them to shield those assets, not with the public to look away. Despite that, the officer continues to push the idea that sensitive content justifies a ban on recording, but her explanation falters. Her reasoning becomes vague and uncertain, as though she's grasping for any argument that might stick. It's clear she isn't enforcing a regulation, she is improvising, trying to appease the people who called her in. This isn't policing rooted in law. It's policing shaped by convenience, by a desire to silence someone who's doing nothing more than exercising a right that belongs to every citizen. The issue here isn't secrecy, it's control. And when rules are made up on the spot just to remove a camera, It says more about the system than the person pressing record.
Let's not be awkward.
No.
Let's not make things difficult, because otherwise they're going to end up difficult, okay?
Why?
Well, because of obviously the sort of attitude that you're giving.
I'm not. All I'm doing is exercising my rights to film in a public
But
area.
like I've just said, the company
Yeah.
are saying to you, you're not allowed to do it. Please don't do it, because our business has things in there that we don't want publicised across the internet. And
By now, the officer's composure starts to crack. Her tone sharpens as she delivers a veiled threat disguised as advice. Let's not make this difficult, or it will become difficult. It's vague, but clearly meant to intimidate. The auditor stays calm and asks why things would escalate. Her answer, his attitude. But let's be honest, he's been respectful and lawful from the start. His only offense is knowing his rights and refusing to give them up. That's the real problem, not his behavior, but his refusal to back down. Rather than acknowledge he's done nothing wrong, the officer tries to silence him with pressure, not the law. It's no longer about enforcing rules, it's about asserting control, and that should concern everyone.
The thing
do you
is,
understand what
I
I'm
understand
saying?
what you're saying, but I'm also exercising my rights, okay, lawful rights, as a citizen in England and Wales. I'm allowed to take photography in a public place unless...
Photography is different to drone, though.
No, that's my first point. My second point is I'm allowed to put a drone up over any place unless it's in a flight restriction zone. And I've got a CAA app that tells me I'm allowed. And you're telling me I'm not. Now that's not law.
What this moment exposes is more than just a disagreement. It's a clash between facts and force. On one side stands the auditor, relying on verifiable law and aviation guidance. His position is clear, his rights well documented. On the other side is the officer, who leans not on statutes or codes, but on repeated claims that sound firm yet carry no legal substance. She won't admit that she lacks the authority to ban a drone launch in unrestricted airspace, but she continues to insist, hoping pressure will replace policy. In the UK, the rules surrounding drone usage are precise. As long as the operator stays out of officially designated no-fly zones and follows Civil Aviation Authority CAR guidelines, drone flight is completely lawful. To make it even clearer, the QA provides a live government-backed app that displays real-time airspace status. If the app confirms the area is green, then legally there's nothing stopping a launch, and yet, even with this data at her fingertips, the officer continues to argue from a place of personal belief, not legal fact. Her stance unravels the moment it's measured against official guidance. She's not enforcing aviation law, she's opposing it with opinion. What we see here is the substitution of authority for accuracy. It's not about safety, and certainly not about lots, about maintaining control.
If you stop me, if you prevent me from doing that...
You're completely confusing what I've said. What I've said to you is that business are asking you not to. All right, they don't want you doing it. So can you not just respect that and be, respectful towards everybody involved here, and just please just take your photographs, but they just don't want to drone up, okay?
But I am being respectful. I mean, I'm not getting into an argument or any conflict with you guys, but I am allowed to put a drone up, and you're saying, well, be respectful to them and don't put one up. But I'm allowed, and it's my right. It's my right to put a drone up in a public area.
The officer has dropped any real attempt to apply the law as it stands. Her actions are no longer grounded in legal obligation, they're driven by perception. She treats the auditor's calm refusal to comply as defiance, not because he's done anything wrong, but because his presence makes the company uncomfortable. In her eyes, exercising a legal right is now enough to warrant suspicion. That shift is both troubling and dangerous. This mindset sends the wrong message, that legal protections are only valid when they don't ruffle feathers. But that's not how justice works. An impartial officer, someone truly upholding the law, would. We have taken a moment to educate the business about the public's right to record from open ground. Instead, she chooses to pressure the auditor, painting his lawful resistance as a behavioral issue rather than recognizing it as a constitutional stand. And what's most revealing, she openly admits he hasn't broken any laws. His only offense is refusing to submit to demands that have no legal foundation. That's not misconduct, it's a defense of personal liberty. What we're witnessing isn't enforcement, it's the quiet erosion of rights under the guise of authority.
It is. If you tell me, if you tell me if you're going to arrest me if I do it, then what I'll do, I won't do it, but I'll go to my lawyer, because I'm allowed, and I know my rights, and the rights are that you're allowed, the law says that you're allowed to take photography, including drone footage, in a public place.
Okay, what's your surname, please?
What?
What's your surname, please?
I'm not giving my name.
You're going to refuse to give details now, are you?
Well, unless you threaten me with some sort of arrest.
I'm a police officer, sir.
Yeah.
I don't threaten anyone.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't threaten.
So you're not going to threaten me with arrest if I don't give you...
Certainly not a threaten.
Okay.
I can use laws and powers, but it's certainly not a threat.
But I've not done nothing wrong. I've got the...
Ultimately, what happened here is that the police have been called.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm now having to deal with you as a person. Therefore, I'm asking for your name and date of birth.
The officer crosses another line demanding the auditor's personal details without any legal grounds. In the UK, officers can't request your name without cause. Under the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984 PACE, that power only applies when someone is suspected of a crime. Section 50 of the Police Reform Act 2002 allows it in cases of antisocial behavior. But here, neither condition applies. The auditor has broken no law. He's calm, respectful, and entirely within his rights. Yet the officer continues to press without citing a single law. There's no legal authority here, only pressure. This isn't legitimate policing. It's intimidation disguised as procedure. A lawful request should come with a clear legal reference, not vague threats. When authority is used this way, it stops protecting the public and starts undermining trust.
Because you've been involved in a call that I'm actually dealing with.
Yeah, but I don't have to give... What? I mean, I don't understand why...
So then, if you're not going to give details, then I would strongly advise for you to just move on. Because at the moment, you've got 3 units here that are obviously dealing with you. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I know,
right?
but
I
I'm
need
just
to know who you are.
No, I'm a member of the public.
Yes, I appreciate that.
And I'm doing a lawful act. I'm doing photography and droning.
So why are you not, at the moment, you could be missing, you could even be wanted, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, as a police officer, we have the right to take you to custody, to identify who you are, if you do refuse to give details. You've been involved in a call, all right?
No, but
you've been involved in something that the police have been called for. So as a police officer, I'm requesting your name and your date of birth.
Yeah, but under what section? I don't understand. Under what section are you asking for my name and date of birth? Because I'm legally, and I don't want to go into civil law, into unlawful arrest and unlawful detention here. But if we go down that path, you know, we don't want to. I don't want to go unlawful detention, unlawful arrest, unlawful giving of my details, because that all goes.
It's not unlawful giving of details by any stretch.
Okay, well, if you felt that I've committed a crime, then you know, or there's a section under PACE,
I just feel,
and I know PACE.
The officer's focus has clearly shifted from enforcing the law to asserting control. Instead of addressing any real offense, she treats the auditor's lawful presence as suspicious simply because it unsettles a nearby business. But public space is open to all. Unless someone is blocking access or causing disruption, there's no legal reason to force them to move. Filming in public isn't a crime, yet she fixates on where the auditor stands, as if being near private property with a camera justifies police action. In doing so, she prioritizes corporate comfort over legal rights. A police officer's duty isn't to satisfy businesses, it's to apply the law fairly by focusing on optics rather than legality. She shows just how far her actions have strayed. This isn't about enforcing the law, it's about pressuring someone who's done nothing wrong.
If you want to try and, you know, determine my name and address, I'd like to know.
I think you're just being extremely difficult and challenging, and probably quite awkward at the moment.
I'm exercising my rights.
It's just a little bit awkward when a person is obviously not just cooperating, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just trying to do my job.
I know you are, but
we've been called because you're obviously causing some.
I was going over there.
But you're not, sir. I found you just here on the pavement.
In a pub.
Closing scene. The auditor eventually steps across the road not because of any legal obligation, but because the officer's persistent, unfounded pressure left him with little choice. From start to finish, this was a poor example of policing, where a private company's discomfort was prioritized over a citizen's rights. The officer overreached, demanding ID without cause, threatening arrest without citing a law, and relying on vague warnings instead of legal clarity. She framed lawful resistance as misbehavior, insisting he leave public space and ground his drone even, though she had no authority to enforce either. Her refusal to admit error, even when calmly challenged, revealed a deeper issue. She wasn't enforcing the law, she was demanding obedience. A simple explanation of public photography and drone rights could have ended this peacefully. Instead, a harmless situation was escalated, wasting time and damaging public trust. But through it all, the auditor stood firm, polite, composed, and within his rights, highlighting just how far the officer strayed from lawful conduct. That's it for today's breakdown. If you found this valuable, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support fuels independent coverage. Thanks for watching. This is Rate the Audit, and I'll see you next time.
And you're up against the barrier.
Well, I'll happily go over there or over there and do my drone.
Go over there then. When you're refusing to give something as simple as a name to a police officer, obviously it comes across as quite awkward, and that's probably my personal opinion of it. Okay, and it's just sometimes it can make it a lot more difficult than it needs to be. In there, they do high security goods, and that's why they're saying as a business, please don't do it. But but as a police officer, obviously you don't want to, go down. We don't want to be causing any further issues for you. Okay, so just please respect what's been said. All right.
Thanks, officer.
Thanks.
Thank you.